believe me, there's a much bigger threat to the men in blue. That's him! Kill the bastard with the video camera!
If you have...
Which one of those you point at?
This one right here, this is the long form, AO 239, and then AO 240, that's the short form. Basically, it's just the length of the form, meaning the questions, the amount of questions asked. Short form's got less questions, long form's got more questions. They want to dig deeper into your assets, right? If you own a home, if you have stocks, if you got 10 grand in the bank account, chances are you're not going to file indigent, right? I mean, South Carolina gave me an issue because I had $300 left over at the end of the month. They said I made too much money, right? Yeah. So,
That's saying fill out 239 for indigent status?
What's that? Yeah, fill out 239 if you want to try to apply without prepaying the fees or costs.
So just a little update. I know a lot of comments are saying what we're doing. We're actually, it's a pro se lawsuit. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support. But this is a pro se lawsuit for in the Middle District of Florida. This is specifically for Pasco and Pinellas counties that we're filing.
Right. All right, so now we're gonna look for the civil cover sheet, which is right here. It's gonna be JS 44. And let's see if it's gonna either bring it up or if I have to download it.
It is a workshop. That is correct. This is a workshop.
Okay, so we're gonna have to download it, so I'll download that real quick, and then once it gets downloaded, we'll take a look at it, and I'll show you how I fill it out. Oh, maybe it's coming up as a PDF here on my screen. That'd be cool.
Now this is, oh, I'm sorry.
John's hilarious, they're saying.
Now this is the indigent side, the financial side of it that we're looking at?
No, that was the application.
Okay, that was the application. Okay.
Right, so now now this has nothing to do with indigent. This is the start of the lawsuit. You have to file
Okay.
this paperwork whether you're paying for it or not.
AO
Everybody
3239 is right.
What form is this now?
This is called the civil cover sheet,
Okay, thank you.
all right?
So y'all look for the civil cover sheet.
Right, and this is what it looks like. Okay, and in it, you're gonna put plaintiff, defendant, county of resident for the defendant, county of resident for the plaintiff, attorneys if there are any. If you're going pro se, you have to write pro se after your name each and every time. The basis for jurisdiction, with a 1983 suit, it's gonna be a federal question. So that's gonna be number 3, that you check the box there. The citizenship of principal parties, that doesn't matter. That's in diversity cases only. That's if you're suing another citizen that doesn't live in the same state as you. So that has nothing to do with what we're doing. Then you're gonna go down to section 4, the nature of the suit, and we're gonna look for number 440 under other civil rights. And it's gonna be right here. If you guys can see where I'm circling on the thing. So we're gonna check that box 440 for other civil rights. Then we're gonna go down to 5, origin, and it's gonna be an original proceeding, right? Because we're filing it for the first time here right now, right? It's an original proceeding. You go down here to 6, cause of action. Cite the U.S. civil statute under which you are filing. That's gonna be 42 U.S.C. 1983. All right. Brief description of cause, specifically for the policy. It's going to be a Monell claim against an unconstitutional policy, right? A Monell claim is a claim against the actual government entity and not an individual person like an officer. If I was filing it against the officer, it would just be a regular 1983 claim. When I'm filing it against an agency like a county for passing a law, that's a Monell claim. If I'm filing it against a federal agent, then it's a Bivens claim, okay? But they can all be done right here on this one. Number 7, obviously it's not a class action. You can do the jury demand, check yes, and then you can put how much money that you demand in there. Any related cases, I've never come across any, for me, filing.
How do you know how much money to put in there? Like you talk about
All of it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you talking about, I mean, obviously there's different,
Right, different types of monetary awards, punitive,
Right.
or if there's been an injury. So
so how do you know how much punitive damage to put in there?
you don't.
Okay.
And there's no
So you just leave
case
it-
out there that'll tell you.
So they just leave it blank or?
But you put in there what you're asking for.
Okay.
So I put like $100,000. My filing against Easley, I put in $1 million. So, put in whatever you feel is justified, and then give your justification for that. So with the Easley court, I said I wanted $1 million because we had went there and told them that the policy was unconstitutional, and if they passed it, we would sue them.
Right.
So they did it willfully and knowingly that it was going to violate our rights because we told them that it was going to violate our rights. And they still did it anyway, which shows incredible disrespect and just a willingness to do whatever the hell you want, right, Gio?
Right.
So the instructions for completing, there's 2 pages with this download. You'll get the cover sheet, you'll get the instructions for attorneys. Obviously, you're not an attorney, I'm not an attorney, I don't need these instructions. Okay, that page is done. Okay, so you'll need that. That'll be one of yours. And then you'll want a complaint form for a non-prisoner. Okay, right here, pro se number 15. Complaint for violation of civil rights, non-prisoner. Because none of us are in prison, right? So that's the one we want. We're going to pull that up. Go to download the form. Now on this one,
What website is this?
this is the uscourt.gov. This is for the Middle District of Florida. So that's where you're going to get all your forms at. You're going to download them. Once they're on your computer, you can, like I said, you can use PDF filler to fill them in, or you can print them out. You can use a typewriter, whatever, however I'm sure there's other programs besides PDF filler to
Like something like we could do, right, is print them out, sign them off, and then scan them back in our printer, right, and make them back digital. Is that what we're gonna have to do?
I wouldn't suggest writing, and the reason for it is because it could be lost in translation, or maybe they can't read your writing, or
So there's some comments here. It says, what about legal aid?
what about it?
Low income legal aid.
Usually for for civil cases, we're not entitled to any, but if you can find some, then absolutely,
Right. Okay.
But we also have to remember that there's a lot of lawyers out there, and people love to talk about their job.
Yeah.
So call around to a couple lawyers, ask a couple questions, so you see what you can get. A lot of them do free consultations.
Right.
So just go in there, with your case, and then see what they have to say. Get a free consultation out of it, whatever. But all right, so here's the actual complaint. Now what I do is I turn in this, and then I type out my claim, because they only give you a little bit of space on this document here, right? And it's usually not enough for me to state my claim. So what I do here is, okay, I'll show you what I do is I put in, the district. So this would be Middle District of Florida. There is no division here. In some states you have like Middle District, Southern Division, like in Alabama. But there's no Southern Division here. So it'd be Middle District of Florida. The case number, if you have the case number, which you probably won't because you haven't filed a suit yet. So just leave that blank. The jury trial, yes. Plaintiffs, defendants. The parties to this complaint, obviously yourself, address, county, telephone number, email address. Now, filing a lawsuit is going to dox your information. It's just the way it is, okay? So anybody is now available to go and pull that lawsuit and see where you live, your phone number, that kind of stuff. So be careful on what you put out there. Now, if you don't want somebody to have your address and you have an address,
Welcome, Leslie.
Receive mail, you can use that address, right? The court just wants to make sure that you're going to receive notices on time And so that you can't say, oh, well, I never received that motion, so I don't have to do it. You know what I mean? So
Thank you, Mark.
make sure that that's an address that you have access to, that you can get that information. Obviously, the defendants, sometimes we know their name, you know, their full name. Other times I put Officer Milne from the Mobile Police Department. You know, I don't have their address. Very rarely do we get their address. So what I do is I have them served at their place of business. And that's worked for me. And in Alabama specifically, I just, you know, mailed the lawsuit to the place of business. And that's legal, right? I didn't have to have a process server. I didn't have to have.
About signature.
What about signature?
You add signature record?
Oh yeah. You want to send all your stuff certified mail, so that way you get a signature, you get the little green card back. That way you know they can't be like, oh, I never got it. Actually, you signed for it, or somebody signed for it.
You get a confirmation.
You get a confirmation.
Letters of intent to sue, we send those out ahead of time before we...
You can. I send out my notices of intent to sue just to give them, you know, a chance to maybe settle before we even get started. But in most cases, it's not really required. So, I mean, obviously check your state and local laws to find out if it's required. Some places actually require you to send out a notice of intent before you sue. And I do believe before you sue the state, you have to give them notice as well. I believe it's 6 months notice.
So the state you have to give a notice, but the federal you do not.
Well, we're not suing the federal government.
But Robert, I'm saying in federal court compared to state court.
No, I'm talking about the state as the entity.
I
not the
gotcha.
court.
I gotcha. So you
Whether
okay?
you sue it in state court or federal court, you still have to give the state 6 months notice before
Okay.
you begin the lawsuit.
Okay.
What was the...
We are suing for Pasco County. We're suing the county. You know, so it'll be George Metz versus Pasco County, right?
That's what it'll say?
That's what it'll
And
say.
what does that mean?
That means that I'm suing the county, the entity, right? And
Still don't know what it means.
well, in law, municipality is considered a person, right?
Almost
Just
like a corporation.
exactly like a corporation, because it actually is a corporation. It's just a different kind of corporation,
Yeah.
right? So, and what that means is that, okay, I'm suing the county, so it's actually the county commissioners that passed the law, but they're not liable individually, right? Because they acted together as a body to pass this law. So the county itself is open now for litigation. So that's what it'll say. George Metz versus Pasco County. When I mail it, when I send it, I'm gonna send it right to the county clerk's office. That's who's getting served with the suit, right? And then from there, it'll go to the county attorney, and then the county attorney will either be the attorney, the defense attorney for the county, or they'll hire out representation, like in a couple of my cases in Alabama. I'm not actually facing like the city attorney, I'm actually facing, you know, Bob's tax and ass. Yeah, they subcontract out the litigation to
This
a
form here is the
company.
actual suit, it's not a notice of intent.
This is the actual suit. This is the complaint that you'll file. So again, you got yourself as the plaintiff, you'll put in your information, and the defendants as much information as you can. Underneath, you have individual capacity and official capacity. If you're suing an officer because he violated your rights, you're suing him in the official capacity. If you're suing an officer because there's an ordinance that he used to violate your rights with, like in your case where that happened, in Lana's case where that happened, then you can
Three
sue him
times.
individually and officially, right? You can sue him for both. Official capacity, what that means in law is it automatically means that you're suing the municipality, right? So if you're just, if a cop come up to you on the sidewalk and said, give me your ID, and you know, you gave him your ID under threat of arrest, and you sued in official capacity, you'd lose your suit, right? Because nobody but him is responsible for that action right there, right? You can't sue his boss. You can't sue his boss's boss. You can't sue the county. You can't sue the state. You know, all these people are like, oh, I'm going to sue the county and the state, and I'm going to sue Bush, and I'm going to sue Trump, and I'm going to sue Clinton, and, you know, they're all this shit. None of that shit's going to work, right? So if it's one person that violates your rights, not based on a policy, custom, or ordinance, then it's going to be an individual capacity, okay? Otherwise, if it's included, like the policies are that violated you folks, that's going to be individual, and you can sue in official capacity. Obviously, for me, because it's only going to be Pasco County, I wasn't trespassed or anything, the defendant's going to be the county of Pasco, and it's going to be in the official capacity, because I'm suing the county over a policy. I'm not suing one county commissioner because he voted yes and the others voted no, right? I'm going against the whole county. So that'll be mine. So I only have one defendant on my suit.
That would be.
John, Lana, you guys will have 2, maybe 3, you know what I mean? But it's got to be the people that actually violated your rights. So whoever called the police to have John trespass, that person, right? Whoever issued the trespass from the DMV, that person. The officer that actually affected the trespass, that person, right? Or, you know, then another officer came in and he got your ID unlawfully. Okay, now that guy can be added, you know what I mean? But if there's 10 cops standing around not doing nothing, you can't just be like, I'm suing you and you and you and you and you, you know, because they ain't done nothing.
Right.
The court's going to be like, okay, so how did he violate your rights? Oh, he was there.
Right. He was breathing.
Right, he was born.
Right.
Right, that's not going to work. So remember that when you're suing people, you're not suing everybody. Don't try to, and if you do, you'll lose that. The basis for jurisdiction, and here describes a little bit more about what we're talking about. You may sue state or local officials for deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities. Under Bevins, that's the federal claim right there. So here it'll say, are you bringing suit against federal officials or state or local officials? And obviously, we're bringing a case against state officials.
Look who it is.
What's up? I'm back, y'all.
Hey.
Can I answer a question? I was watching the live stream.
Yeah.
As far as legal aid with this, there are people that are at the courthouse that can help you with the procedure and like the process, because every court has different procedures, so they don't expect everybody to know exactly how everything goes. So they especially if you're doing a pro se, they have somebody who will help you, but they can't help you with like case law or give you legal advice or anything. They'll just help you with the process. And there's a link in our presentation to that site. There's a site where you can contact them and help them.
Okay.
Have them help you.
And if you could just share that link, and I'll put it on the live feed here.
Yeah. Once I get done rolling through this, I'm gonna switch spots, and he's gonna pop over here with his computer and go through.
And after the live feed, I'll put all the relevant links in the description and pin comment for everybody.
Right on. Okay, so under section B, after we've done the state or local officials, it says it allows claims if you are suing under section 1983, what federal constitutional or statutory right you claim is being violated by state or local officials. For me, for Pasco County, it's the right to free press. It's the First Amendment. That is the federal constitutional right that is being violated with their policy by not allowing me to record in a space open to the public where there's no expectation of privacy to be had.
Is that the same as cause of action?
Cause of action, yes.
What about failure to intervene on other cops?
I mean, I don't think there's I know there's not a constitutional right to intervene. There might be a statutory right, because all of our rights don't come from, obviously, the Constitution. Sometimes the courts weigh in and say, well, you know, just like with video recording, obviously that's not in the Constitution. So the courts have decided recording, yes, is a part of the First Amendment, which is in the Constitution. Some of our rights are statutory rights. You'd have to find out in your district, you know, or in federal court, if there's a statutory right for, or, you know, the police to intervene on your behalf. I don't believe there is.
In Colorado, there is. I was just going to say, like in Florida, maybe not, you know, but in Colorado, they just put a cop in jail for not stopping another cop from violating somebody's rights.
Right, and that could be a state statutory right too. It doesn't have to be just federal. Right. We have to remember we have state constitutions as well, And the state constitutions also have constitutional rights. And the same thing with the state courts. They have also given, like you said, in Colorado, they've given them rights. You can hook up right there to the thing, so it's a little bit closer.
Oh, okay.
So there is that. So, but for us, for B, it's going to be the right to free press, right? That's going to be what our federal constitutional right that was violated is. Okay, number C, we don't have to worry about it. It's Bevins, that's for federal. It's number D, section 1983.
Now, when you say federal, that's only for suing the federal government.
That's only pursuing federal agents, post office workers,
Okay.
ICE workers, FBI guys, federal employees.
Okay.
I heard recently from HBO Matt that there's like a year-old law now that they're using that shields them.
Circumvents that. I heard that as well, but I haven't dug into it because, quite frankly, I haven't run across the federal agent I needed to sue yet. So,
Let's keep it that way.
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Says the man with FBI hat.
It looks like D is also dealing with Bevins. It says explain how each defendant acted under the color of federal law, so we won't mess with D either. Now 3 here is the statement of claim, right? And this is where it says state as briefly as possible the facts of your case. So
Thank you, Hillsborough.
in order for the case to go forward, you have to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, right? So you have to say proof positive, I have a right, they violated this right? That's my claim, okay? And I can get relief on that if the court sides in my favor. So with this statement of claim, this is where I veer off and I put on those lines C attachment, right? Because I take and I type out my claim and I don't put it, because like you can see, they only give you one line here, right? Then they'll tell you can put it on a different line.
What law address of where you're at? What's the law address? Hillsborough, elaborate a little bit. They're asking what's the law address?
What's the library address?
Is that what?
Where we are? Right now?
Are you wanting to know where we're at, or are you looking at the address?
It's right here.
Felix will text you, bro.
Oh, yeah. John will text you. Hillsborough.
It's Hillsborough Cop Watch.
Yeah.
Cop Watch.
Yeah.
No, he's been driving hours to get here.
Yeah. The honey badger's in a secret location, Hillsborough.
Then our hidey hole.
Yeah, the honey hole.
Yeah, we're actually in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we do take care of along here.
It's actually a cruise ship. We're on a cruise ship.
Oh, what's the library address? Is what he keeps asking. He's texting you right now, Hillsborough.
Broadcast it.
Yeah, we're not going to broadcast it.
The library we're at the
Blue shirt you show up.
Okay, so in the statement of claim, it said, where did the events give rise to your claims occur? So basically, where were you? So what you want to do on your claim is you want to write out the facts, right? So on February 10th, I attempting to go into the Pasco County Department of Motor Vehicles. I was working on a story about, whatever it is that you're up there to see about. For me, it's always overreach of authority, right? So I'm up there to make sure that these guys don't violate citizens' rights when they come out to video record in public. That's what my story's about. I was at the DMV, Pasco County. What date and approximate time did the events give rise? Same thing. You're just given the facts of the case, right? What are the facts underlying your claim? What happened to you? Who did what? Was anyone else involved? Who else saw what happened? So basically, that's where what I do is I take and I have 2 computers, right? I got my desktop, I got my laptop. Now my desktop, I got my video pulled up, right? And I'm playing my video minute by minute, second by second, and then I'm typing out, okay, at the 5-minute mark, Officer Dickbag approached and asked me for ID unlawfully with no reasonable suspicion. And I put that in my claim, right? And I make sure that I put it in my claim at 5:03 in my video. And the reason I do that is because now I'm incorporating my video into the complaint, right? So when I send that complaint in, I'm also sending a flash drive with my video into the office, right? So now they have to At 5:03, you know, so now they have to look at the video to see what I'm talking about, right? To make sure what I'm talking about fits with what I'm saying on paper.
How were you made unwhole? Because later on you'll get a chance to say how will you be made whole. There's a whole nother like section
Portion
for
of
that.
it, yeah. So that's what I do, and that's what I would suggest everybody do, especially us, because we all have videotape evidence of the encounter. Just go by that. The court is always going to look more favorable on video evidence than on our word or anybody else's word, right? If it's on video, there's no denying it, right? So put that in there and make sure it's in there, and then just follow the video. Say at 5:30, Officer Dickhead showed up. He said I was on, I was on these people's property, but you could see at 6 minutes and 10 seconds, I looked down at the road and I'm standing on the easement.
It was a good order until the time that shot the dog came on scene and everything went to
Yeah.
Right.
the time they got the dog.
Yeah, that one cop.
Everything was beautiful until that cop came on. And like you
Yeah,
said,
everything was good until the bad cop showed up. Yeah.
He started
Right.
chilling your rats on arrival.
Right, exactly. So you're basically just walking through exactly what happened. You got a pinpoint. At 5 minutes and 57 seconds, Officer Dickbag violated my rights by doing this. Right? It can't be like, oh, I was outside at the DMV and some cops came by and yeah, they violated me and I need money. The complaint process in the claim, we're not citing
Touch
the
your
law,
feet.
right? Our claim isn't that I have a right to be there because Brandsburg behaves or any of this stuff, right? It's just a short statement of the facts of the case and a claim which relief can be granted on. Okay, that's it. We're not getting into the whole case here. So on the relief, it says right here, any actual damages or punitive damages. Actual damages, again, are if your camera's broke, if your leg was broke, if, all this stuff, medical bills, they ripped your car door open, they kicked in your house door. Those are damages, actual damages. Punitive damages are what you feel would be just to punish them from ever probably trying to do this action again. And again, I start all of mine at 100,000, and the easily one I got, I put to $1 million because of how they treated us and the whole thing about it.
In mine, I put in excess of $75,000, so they know that they're gonna have to pay more than 75. The 75 is the bottom line. Basically.
Hopefully.
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 In theory.
In theory, right. So that's what the theory is, and we hope for that. But they really give you, it's punitive. They can give you $1, right?
Right.
They don't have to give you anything.
Right.
So
You can put in you want training done at the place.
training is always a good one to put in there as far as.
Did you want to go over the different punitive, the different monies that you could receive? That way everybody knows.
Well, it's actual, which I believe is compensated. I don't even know how.
It is Rights Crispy.
Compensated.
Yeah,
Compensated.
Yeah, compensated. And then you've got the punitive, and then there's like another one, but I don't.
The
even know
punitive has nothing to do. Punitive has nothing to do with making you whole. It's strictly a punishment.
It's strictly a punishment.
Right.
Right, because you are whole, right?
Right.
If they didn't injure you, you really lost nothing. except for-
Compensatory. Yeah.
Yeah, compensatory.
I can't even speak. Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
they take your liberty
Compensatory.
for several hours or days.
Right, but there's no set.
Amount.
Yeah, there's no set. It's not like right to free speech, automatic $50,000, right to
Right.
assemble $80,000. There's nothing like that. It's so basically what we do is we'll say, for First Amendment cases, when they called and asked me what I'd settle for, and I said, well, I'll settle for this amount. And they said, well, where did you get that? I said, well, that's what other cases have settled for on the same issue. Like for the First Amendment, there's a couple of $40,000 cases. One from First Amendment strike team out of Colorado Springs. He also got another one, I believe, in Trenton, New Jersey for $40,000 for the same thing. Then there's other people. There's a gentleman with a camera that got the $75,000. He was a truck driver. Remember, the cop came from way over where to harass him and whatever. He got like 75 grand last year.
Yeah,
So-
is there a place, is
I
there?
think that's right.
Yeah, HBO Max.
Yeah,
So they're saying that you look like Leonardo DiCaprio.
This is his Jane Madison outfit.
Here, let me see the shoes. Let me see the shoes. Hold on, I gotta show everybody the shoes.
This is
The James Madison look.
You guys didn't know this is the proper
James couldn't make it today. James couldn't make it today, so Rice Krispies filling in for
sorry to interrupt you, but these
He was visiting somebody and he was walking by. It was not a police department. It was like a substation for their vice.
Are you
unit.
talking about Bridgeport, Connecticut?
Maybe it's Bridgeport.
Yeah, it was
Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut. I was gonna say, because Trenton, New Jersey, he went to Bridgeport, Connecticut, and they did it wrong there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
lived in that place. That's the worst place I've ever lived in my life. It was. I lived in the hood in Miami, and Bridgeport, Connecticut was way worse.
Well,
It was like
GGA.
bankrupt. They were horrible. I hated it.
And that Bridgeport, Connecticut, that's also where you can find the TV show Gilmore Girls.
No, but they did film a movie called Judgment Night there with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Hey,
It was filmed in Father Panic Village.
good guy. Activism shares his love. Yep.
Oh, what's up, Dave?
GGA.
Yep. All right, so in
Bless you,
closing
brother.
with this, and we're gonna let Finn jump on because we got another hour here, and that's it. This is the last page of it, the certification and closing. Basically, just signing for parties without an attorney.
Thank you,
Signature
Eva.
of plaintiff, printed name of plaintiff. Now, even if you're, when you're filling these out on your computer, you can put your printed name, but your signature, always sign that, okay? And you'll have to sign every document you send in. So make sure that when you print it out, that there's that space that you didn't write in or type in that you can sign. All right, and then for attorneys, obviously, you're not an attorney, you don't need anything of that nature.
And you
So
send this to who, the clerk of court?
you send it, right, for the Pasco County, because this
Hey, Heather.
is for Pasco County for us. But again, let's say you're suing Officer Dickbag from Gainesville PD, and you don't have his address, because his address is not public knowledge. You can pay a process server.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, you can pay a process server to serve it, and he might be able to find the address. But what I do is I just send it right to the department, right where he's working,
With the signature required.
with the signature required. So that way, even if he doesn't sign for it, let's say it's a secretary that signs for it, we know that it's been signed and delivered there. 9 times out of 10, he's going to get it anyway. Go ahead, Lana.
What's this? What do you think you're doing? You think you could just come in here and film police officers training?